The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your financial advisor. Mixing family and business can be complicated, but when it comes to independent advisors, a lot of firms are keeping it in the family. So what's it really like to mix family and business? How do you set boundaries, maintain professionalism, and handle disagreements? Joining me today is Eric Steffi and his family. He works with his wife, son, and daughter at Federal Solutions Support. So you work alongside your wife, daughter, and son. Was that always your plan, or how did you get to where you are today?
So our business is truly a family operation. My dad, Eric, he started working in this business over 38 years ago. So when I was in high school, I would go to school during the day, and in the evening, I would work on the farm. And it was back in the middle of the farm crisis in the early 80s, and our family, as all farmers, were struggling. And I remember coming home from college and saw my dad with all the bills on the table and plans that he had bought from the bank. And as I started helping him sort them out and look at them, things didn't make sense. And what we found out is the bank was actually taking advantage of my dad because he'd never been educated on how these plans worked and was put in a very compromised position that he could actually lose the farm. And in that moment, I found my why, that I wanted to make sure that families in America could be taught and educated how all their benefits work, how all their plans work, so they can make the best decisions possible. So that is why I decided 38 years ago to get into this industry so that I could make sure families were never taken advantage of like my dad was.
Yeah. How did you get Melinda on board and eventually your kids?
Well, that is a great question. As I built the business over in 38 years, our kids grew up watching the business and how it worked, how we help families. And so there were days that they wanted nothing to do with it. And there were days that looked really attractive. That was on payday. And then what happened is when my son got out of high school, he actually got a license and just kind of held it for a couple years. And I'll let him explain what brought him on. Like Eric said, I grew up watching the family business. I watched my grandpa work in the business with my dad. And so I saw the relationship that they had, the ongoing relationship. They did a lot of fun things working together. And I know they created a lot of wonderful memories, traveling and all that stuff. So that's something that I wanted to be a part of. And then, of course, just knowing the mission behind it all with everything that had happened to my grandpa with the farm crisis, making a difference in people's lives. And so that's what intrigued me to get into the business. I've loved it ever since. And to move on to Janaea, she grew up in the business watching it as happened. And I believe I'll let her share her feelings of how it worked out for her.
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of the four kids, and so I was quite younger, but I would always pretend to play Office and pretend to be on the computer and have little sticky notes, and I always loved it. And then as I got older, I thought, wow, I want to go off and do my own thing and, make my own career, which I did, and I was successful and I loved it. But I remember thinking, I don't want to do what everyone else does, but then life has a funny way of kind of opening the doors at the right time. And so I was in a season of life that what my dad and my brother were doing, opened up, and I was able to leave what I was doing and join them. And it really helped me to be able to be a stay-at-home mom and be home, and then also be able to help people and learn more every day about all the federal benefits and learning. And then, I got to work with my brother and my stepmom and my dad. So it's been amazing.
Oh, that's so great to hear.
So that opens up for Melinda to give you her story.
I was working in corporate America in a large U.S. bank, and I loved my job, but I was watching our business grow and change lives and help people. And I know that one of the biggest regrets when you talk to entrepreneurs, one of the biggest regrets that entrepreneurs have is that they didn't jump soon enough, that they didn't pour themselves in wholeheartedly early enough. I didn't want to have that regret. So I made the leap into the family business with my skill set, which has been an amazing experience for me to be able to bring my gifts and to be able to lift up everybody else's. So I'm so glad I made the jump.
Well, that is great to hear. So it sounds like this was a personal thing for you guys, kind of seeing what your dad and grandpa went through there. How do you keep your family life and your professional life separate?
That is almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of developed some real informal and some formal rules as we've gone along. One of them is just to know your role. Like everybody, if they know their lane and they can stick to it, it stops some of the confusion and makes it easier for us all to move ahead without that, oh yeah, I thought you were doing that moment. So that defined role is, for each of us, has really helped out.
And when we do family events, it's real easy. We're sitting around the table talking all the time. Hey, did you send that email? Hey, did you take care of that person? That happens all the time. Or we'll be sitting in a meeting. It's like, hey, what are we doing this weekend outside of? And so we jump in and jump out. And there's times that we're very, very serious that, hey, this is a meeting. We have to get this accomplished. And we make it all about business. And sometimes we sit around a table for dinner like Thanksgiving, and our goal is to keep it all about family, but sometimes we do, hey, what about this and what about that? So we do the best we can to have our personal family life, but business is always there in the background.
Yeah. How do you navigate disagreements?
We all get along.
Always, all the time?
Some of the time.
No, we're all 100% right at every time, but I think that the struggle leads to us being able to refine the business and to develop one another's skill set, and then we see a stronger outcome for the clients. But I was thinking of ER on this one.
Yeah, I think it would be nice if we always agreed on everything 100% of the time, but unfortunately that's life, and that doesn't always happen that way. But managing disagreements, I would say the biggest thing is being open-minded and being able to, listen to their perspective, and also hopefully they're open to hearing your perspective, which I think our family, we're pretty open-minded and open to hearing the other person's perception. So usually, we haven't had too many disagreements that have been like catastrophic, but most of the time, yeah, we're pretty flexible. We're willing to work with, the ideas that people bring to the table, especially my dad and Melinda and Janaea. And so, yeah.
My dad, he worked in the business for 20 years, helping as we grew. He loved what we did. He would always go, well, I'm the founder here, and I get the final say. So I run with that when I need to.
You're the main guy.
Dad logic.
Yeah, pretty much when he says that, you can just roll your eyes.
Yep.
So do you guys kind of want to tell me what each of your roles are so listeners get a better understanding of your well-oiled machine?
Janaea, you want to go ahead and start with that, and we'll work our way up?
Sure. Yeah. Well, our business, I feel like, is a real family effort that we all bring something to the table. And one thing that we've learned is that we're stronger together. Each generation brings something different. My dad, Eric, he has 4 decades of experience, and he's kind of like our steady hand. He really is there just when things get complex or when something goes kind of crazy. He's the one that's calm. And so he's the owner. What he says goes. And then ER, my brother, he has really, it's been just amazing watching him grow into this incredibly knowledgeable and smart person. One of the smartest people I know besides my dad, I would say. But he's really good at knowing the allocations and the annuities and all the different rates. So he's really like our go-to knowledge guy in closing business. And then Melinda, she really, since she's come along, has just made everything, so much better. She's kind of like our secret weapon, that she helps keep, the contracts and help make sure that everyone has what they need and help kind of solve problems. And so she is kind of like the glue that keeps us all together, but also like everyone knows not to mess with her. And then I'd say my job, I'm kind of like the middle person. I help communicate in between people and make sure that everything people are paid, that the applications are in, that licensing is good. And so I'm kind of like the middle person that also does that. So together we make a great team, I would say. But if anyone else wants to add anything.
I'm going to jump in there because one of my goals is, even though I have, a lifetime of expertise running businesses, it's not any good to me to just, take that with me someday.
Right.
So my hope is really to pour into Janaea and to pour into the next generation, although Eric largely pours into ER for benefits analysis, but really to make sure that we have not only succession planning, but that we are really raising up people who can do our jobs and likely do them better. So I see that in Janaea.
Awesome. Melinda, this is a question I have specifically for you, but how does running your family business differ from what you did prior to coming on board?
That's a really good question. I think that systems, management, and having an orderly progression for getting things done so that if you have discovered a successful way to achieve a good outcome, that's repeatable. You learn how to find those, how to document it so that other people can follow in those footsteps. And while we're all for new ideas at the table, and we generally will incorporate those or give them a test, having proven ways and making sure that we have systems for other people to achieve those. So what I've watched Eric do is be very, very successful in this business and take people who have familiarities with federal benefits and bring them on board, and then watch them double, triple, quadruple their business and the amount of people they're able to help. So one of my hopes was, can we actually capture that so that every single person who comes on board has that same success? And I'm watching that happen, and that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this is an open-ended question for any of you, but what would you guys say is the hardest part about working with your family, and what's the best part about working with each other?
I would say the hardest part of working with the family is just, like Eric had said earlier, is just, kind of setting those boundaries when it comes to the family time versus work time. I would say that's the most difficult part because, there are times where you don't even want to think about the business, but somehow, just creeps up in conversation, or you get a phone call or you get an email and it's really hard not to talk about. So I'd say the setting the boundaries is probably the most difficult, but we work through it anyways, which is good. And I would say the most enjoyable part of working with family is all the jokes and laughter that we get to make. All of us kind of have our go-to sayings and stuff. So cracking jokes, and sometimes we'll make jokes of each other and, comment on, the sayings they have. So that's always fun and in good faith. So I would say that's the most positive thing, is you're able to joke around a lot with each other.
Yeah. I really enjoy working with family. I feel like it makes us, I feel closer with my dad and my brother and my stepmom than I ever have been. But then, of course, drawing a fine line of, we're going to work and we're not going to work, and so that's kind of I love it. And then, when there is kind of hard things, and we just kind of work through it and then we move forward.
Nice. So you guys definitely are able to kind of lean on each other, and it's probably a more meaningful because it's your family members. It's not just random coworkers.
So one of the common things that will happen is we all work in different time zones, and here on the East Coast, we'll be talking with Janaea, who's out in Denver, and her little ones will be waking up. We get to say hi to them in the morning, but it's the same luxury that we afford all. So every one of the federal experts, we get to meet their fur babies and their grandbabies and their grown adult kids, and it's family business, not just for those of us who are up close in a family relationship, but it's something that really extends to all of those people we work with.
Yeah.
And I grew up, as I said, on a farm, and it was a family farm. My grandparents, they had their kids, and they all had farms. And in the 80s, when the crunch happened, a lot of them ran into trouble. And I had one cousin who ended up getting the family farm, and I would have loved to have farmed and had a family farm. So I took that same concept and have applied it to the business we're in, that anyone and everyone who works with, not just our kids and our family, but the experts that work with us are, to me, extended family. I talk to them about bringing their family on and being a part of as we grow our brand, our company together, which makes it a big family. So what I was hoping as a kid, hey, to have a family farm someday and run it, we actually have that family farm. It's just in financial services, teaching and educating federal employees how to win the game with all their benefits.
Yeah, which is awesome that you were able to do that. That's really cool to hear. Of course, you don't have to go into any deep details, but what do you see the future holding for your company? Do you think your kids will take over? Do they want to? Kind of where are you guys at with the legacy of Federal Solutions support?
So right now, as a company, we're putting all our standard operating procedures in place to become much more efficient at hiring people and training them and bringing them up to speed that they can create, taking the system in place and creating the great lifestyle to have the freedom and be able to make the money they want to make. And so we'll spend the next 3 to 5 years scaling our business to the size that we want it to be. And then we will explore all the options in the future of passing the business on, however we choose to do that, so that it's best for everybody that's involved.
When it comes to hiring outside people into the business, how do you kind of make sure everyone feels like they're being treated equally?
I think it's a huge question. And if I was coming on to a team that was family-based, I would want to know, what kind of equity is there. And so it is something we are hugely invested in, is making sure that everybody feels equally supported, that they have the same resources, that we trust them at the same level. Like, we want their input. We want to know what they're struggling with, what they think we need to improve upon. So we're very, very engaged. When somebody is interviewing for a position with us, Eric has a lot of technical questions, and ER has even more. And my question basically comes down to, would I want to spend Thanksgiving with this person? Is this person a cultural fit? If there's somebody I would like to do life with, then my gut says they're going to be a better cultural fit than someone who I don't want to hang out with. So we're looking for technical expertise, we're looking for knowledge, we're looking for teachability, and we're looking for someone who truly wants to be part of this team that is actually a very large family.
Yeah.
And every one that we interview, we let them know up front that I have what my dad instilled in me, that I don't cut a break for anyone. And I share the story when ER first started, his first 3 years in the business, they're like, oh, he's your son. You gave him all kinds of opportunity. You give him better leads and you cut him breaks. And actually, I didn't. I actually gave him the worst leads because that's how I learned. And he actually worked 10-hour days and then had a part-time job at night delivering pizzas for his first 3 years in the business so he could survive. And the reason I did that, not to be hard on him, but now he has a story that he can tell. So when I do interview people, we just interviewed somebody last week. I was like, you need to talk to ER. This kid's young, and then get started. He's going to tell you how bad it is, how hard it is to break into this industry and this business, because 95% of the people fail in the first 2 years. And my goal is, I'm going to tell you how hard and horrible it is to get started. But if you persevere, if you follow the system, if you allow us to coach you, our goal is to create successful people. And we don't want to waste our time. We want to waste their time. We want to make sure that we're finding people that are a fit for who we are, where we're at, and where we're going. And, we have people come on, and we figure out in the first couple of weeks they're just not a good fit. And, we shake hands, let's be friends. You don't belong here. We have other people come on, and they're the perfect fit. They see where we're going, what we're doing, and the opportunity they have for them as we grow the company that they can help and be a part of and enjoy the benefits of having a strong, successful business.
For people who maybe are looking to open up their own family business or looking even maybe at just being an entrepreneur, what would you tell somebody, or what do you wish somebody maybe would have told you before you got started that you want other people to know?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Like Erica said, with me just getting started first time, I would say what I would want someone to tell me, and this is what I tell people when my dad sends people that, hey, you need to talk to I tell them is have realistic expectations. Because I know when I first started, I had super unrealistic expectations. I came in, I thought I was going to be, writing all this business immediately. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. It just takes time. So the two biggest things that I would say is having realistic expectations and being patient, because this is a business where you have to be patient and you have to practice that. And so that's my 2 cents.
I have a lot of friends that are in the business, and they want more than anything else to see their children or their family jump in and work with them and be a part of. And what I share with them and what I tell them is you need to go have success first. And that if you're not having success and all they see is failures or the struggles, they're not going to be interested. Why would they want to go and not have success? And so by you having success first, then as you have success, what I did with Melinda, what I did with Janaea, what I did with ER, and the rest of our kids is I would just drop little hints there about, hey, this is good. Hey, there's this trip, hey, if you work with us, you could go with us on this trip. And just putting things out there and the opportunity. And with time, they became interested. I believe having success first and having a system that works makes it much more attractive for them to jump in and go with you. And at that point, then they're going to have their own mindset, and you're going to have a mindset, and it's melding those two things together that you can accept how they feel and think, and not that you have to do it this way or else, that you have to work through that. There has to be some give and take. And with time and you're having success, I believe you can attract all kinds of your family or the personal friends you have to be a part of your business if you choose.
So one of the things I'm always challenging Eric on, and I think everybody else who comes into this kind of entrepreneurial relationship, and that includes family or a larger community, is that when you're really good at something, as Eric and ER are good at this work with federal solutions and the federal employees, is that you have to be able to replicate your knowledge, your talent, your ways of doing things into those around you. That it's a lot of people can do this business well on their own, but helping people take what they do and give that to others is an additional skill set and takes an additional investment. But in the long run, we'd like to see more people running a high integrity business and being part of this kind of a federal solution, and providing these kinds of answers that this team does for federal employees. So it's worth taking time out from what is our daily work to make sure we're investing in everyone around us.
I think you mentioned that you have other kids as well. Do you think they'll ever join the family business, or do they work in different industries?
That's a really good point, because we have other children and they have successful careers where they're at. And I believe life is a roller coaster. And when you're at the high side, things are going good. Well, I'm going to do this. But in every business or career that they're in, there's going to be a downside. Management changes, people change. That my goal is that when those things happen, there can be an open door, just like Janaea referred to, that she had her own little career going on, being very successful. Life was great. But then she had some life changes, and we happened to have an opening that we needed. And she just said, well, I'm going to do my own thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I said I'd never work with you, and now here I am. And 2 years later, she does unbelievable. I get compliments all the time from our entire team. They go, oh, Janaea is such a pleasure to work with. She's so unbelievable. And so it's just walking through that part of the process.
Yeah. How do you guys kind of address performance, or make sure that everybody's performing up to par? I'm sure you don't have any issues with that, but how did you kind of set that expectation?
We actually are running our metrics and we have had performance issues with different people, and that not just our operation side, which Janae and Melinda are on. We have metrics and performance look there. And on the business side, as we meet with clients, we have metrics and where they're at. And when they are not performing or they're below the standard, then we have to put them on a plan. And that's one thing that I've learned, that even though they're family, we still have to call out what is, and then what do we need to do to fix it.
I'm a big proponent of knowing what our average performance is. So if you take the whole team together, are people meeting? Are they showing up for all their meetings? Are your clients showing up for all their meetings? And we'll take that average, and then we'll show each individual what their rate looks like. Are they standing people up? Are people standing them up? What's going on, right? So we're very clear to produce individual as well as company-wide metrics in order to help people level up their performance.
All right, that does it for this edition of Not Your Father's 2 Cents. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll meet you back here next time.